Welcome to Set and Forget Traders, where precision meets patience. This isn't guesswork, it's strategy, structure, and the smart money's roadmap. If you're tired of chasing trades, strap in. We'll show you how to trade like the banks and not against them. If the market noise has been costing you money and peace of mind, you are in the right place. Hit the subscribe button. This is where structure meets mastery. Welcome to week 30. Today being on a Sunday analysis, we will be glad to usher you into the coming week, and we'll be having a preview of what last week was and what we are anticipating in the coming week. Last week being week 29, we can preview what happened and in line with our previous sentiment. You can check our previous analysis and be sure to transfer some knowledge. So grab your pen, grab your notebook, grab your Wattpad so that you might be interested to jot down some of our interesting sentiments. So this is on Friday last week, this was on Thursday, this was on Wednesday, this was on Tuesday, this was on Monday. Last week was around here. We could see that the price was not yet at the next demand zone. The next demand zone is around 99.058. So we had an anticipation that the coming week the price will continue going up until buyers they take all their profits or they make another entry. So our target was to see the dollar index rise to the next demand zone is 9.058, which happened, but it was yet to hit the demand zone. So what do we take on this demand chart? This is the demand chart, sorry to say. So the demand chart is allowing us to know where the buyers are going to make an entry and where the buyers are going to take their exit. So we are setting and forgetting until the buyers are taking their profits at 99.058. If they push price above, yeah, that's well and good. But if we check on the 4-hour time frame, you'll be able to observe that they took profits at the lower time frame demand zone, which is 98.80. All right, yeah, that's a good observation for you to make. At 98.80, that's where the buyers were taking their partials, and after they took their profits, you could be able to spot on this bigger candlestick that was a reaction of buyers taking their profits. After they took their profits, you can see the price fell. Price fell about 1,190 points. Yeah, that's a very big drop, because buyers are already taking their profits. But when they take their profits, it doesn't mean that the trend is going to change necessarily. But it's good to observe that again on this day there was a fundamentals release, expectations that Trump is about to fire the Fed chair Powell. So it fell in line with our analysis. We didn't plan it, but as you can see, it fell in line. So buyers didn't get out. The price continued coming up again, and again they took profits. This was on Thursday, heading to Friday. So Thursday again they took their profits, and after they take their profits, the next candle you can be able to observe it fell. The next candle fell, and there was a fair value gap opening on Friday, and which price continued falling because buyers had already taken now their second partials at the proximal at the lower time frame demands on 98.80. Yeah, if you understand that, you can like this video as we continue. So the main demand zone is right above the closing price of the last week, which is 99.058, and lower time frame demand zone at 99.169. Yeah, so this demand zone is allowing us to know where the buyers are taking their profit and where they're going to make an entry. So if we look at the 1-hour time frame, you'll be able to see a clarity of what you have been talking about. And you might know that dollar index allows you to trade other pairs because it's the basket which shows the strength of dollar in comparison to all other Forex currencies. So after the buyers took profit, you can see the next candle was a bearish, and then the next one was a wipe zone. And then the second time the buyers again took their profits at this lower time frame demand zone, 98.80. Yeah, so that's a good clarity. So this coming week, using this demand chart, we're able to know if buyers are already in control of the price. And if you see any weakness of buyers, you're coming late into the trend, but buyers, the pivot is around 97.143. If you're a buyer in dollar, if you see any weakness, you need to retrieve back to 97.143. Next, let's check the supply chart so that we can be able to see what sellers were doing this week. And we'll start off with our daily chart, which is our main chart of analysis. So back to last week. The last week candle was closed here. That was the Friday candle. And you'll be able to see that we saw that the supply zone was right above the price. 98.026 being the proximal line and 98.248 being the diastole line. But alternatively now it has changed, 98.248 becoming the proximal and 98.026 becoming the diastole. So this is what happened. On Monday, buyers continue with their bullish momentum. On Tuesday, because sellers were present at now the supply zone, they were wiped out. And remember, on this previous day, you can be able to see that the sellers used that level to make their entry. And this is why the market makers knew that on Tuesday, the sellers were present with their orders. Maybe they had already placed their sell orders. And that's how you can be able to spot the wipeout. And then on Wednesday, this is what happened. The sellers now came again, pushed price lower, and this was a bait to again open the supply orders. That's why you see on Thursday, price again went up. And then on Friday, the sellers took profits. So on Tuesday, on Wednesday, during this drop, sellers took profit inside this supply zone. The same thing to Friday. Let's look at the 4-hour time frame to have a clear perspective of what you're saying. This is what you're saying. On this day, the buyers knew sellers are hiding inside this supply zone, all right? And that's why you're able to see this big engulfing candle happening right at the supply zone, at the proximal line of the supply zone. This is not a guesswork. We had pinpointed this zone. You can check on our previous week 29 analysis. And we told people, don't sell right now. Just buy, because buyers have not taken their profits. Where do buyers take their profits? On 4-hour time frame, buyers could be taking their profit at 98.80. So wait for buyers to take their profits before you sell. And this is what happened, right? The first proactive sellers to sell, they were wiped out right at the entry. And you see the price closed exactly at a supply zone, 98.608. That's why slowly the sellers tried again to push price lower, and finally they pushed price and they took profits at their supply zone. All right. Then there was an indecision. Then the next day the price went bullish to liquidate the sellers. It went bullish and closed higher. And then on Friday, finally, the sellers pushed price, took their profits and left, and market pushed back up. That's what's happening. So if we check on the 1-hour time frame to have a quite a good understanding of what happened, you can see the sellers, even with this big wipeout, the sellers took profit inside the supply zone. Yeah, and price pushed back up after the sellers taking profits. All right, this is an international data. It's not reflecting on our side what we decided, but it's an international data that everybody is having access to. You can see during this was on 15th last week. The sellers pushed, but they had taken their profits. So the retailers were forced to go lower and they were wiped out. They were left out. Market came back up and went up. So this was quite a good understanding, and the diastole line was used on 15th, and then on 16th they used the proximal line to take their profits. This is noises, all right? This is noises to wipe out. This week was just noise, but the price action was well crafted by the market makers, all right? Yep. So what's happening next week? What should we be anticipating for the coming week? And on the coming week, unless the price goes below this supply zone, don't sell, brother. Don't sell. Sorry, let me put the rectangle for you to see. Unless the only time you're supposed to sell if its price is coming to go below the diagonal line. All right, and the first take profit will be on the pivot. If you see the green line, that's our pivot, which determines if the price continuing to go lower or will stay up. So 97.31, you sell from 98.026 to 97.31. But since the price is way above the supply zone, we are going to see price continue going up into the next pivot zone at 99.798. Yeah, the main supply zone is quite above. You can see the yellow rectangle. That's where the supply zone is. But before that, sellers need to push through the pivot, 99.798. So that's our sentiment too. We are aligning to that. So currently price is about 1,293 points away from the pivot, 99.798. Yeah, so stay bullish unless otherwise. Yeah, we hope we were clear on that. Here is what we're trying to show you. Yeah, that's the price path of the coming week, unless price will go lower. But that's what our alignment will look like for the coming week. So the next, this is laws. The laws are allowing us to know where we cannot cross, but this moving average is allowing us to know the path where we are moving with price. All right, and as you can see, this is the retailers moving average. This is the retailers. The next one here will be the institutional moving average. So let's first start with the retailers moving average, and this is the monthly candle. And we said since last month or the month of June, the price closed below, and now price was just hovering below the support. We were projected the monthly trend to be bullish. This is what is currently happening. All right, and the retailers supposed to push price into the next here, where the last month opening and reaction came from. They push price back up and next into the next resistance. So until price, we see where the price will close around 99.343. There's no resistance on the monthly time frame. On the weekly time frame, we have our resistance, our first support at 99.027 and our second resistance at 99.528. So we still have a way to go along the path. And our third resistance at 100.686. On the daily, the retailers, you see last week on the daily, price will not be allowed to go past the resistance, 98.696. Yeah, on Wednesday it was rejected, and on Thursday it again tried, and on Friday it was pushed up again. And you see there is a death cross happening right at the lower low of the daily candle on Friday. So we're anticipating to see what happens on this resistance. It might turn into support, but on daily we have a long way to go up to 100.191 area. So if price pushes outside this resistance, which is currently a resistance, we are going to see price go higher into the next resistance. On the 4-hour time frame, we are seeing buyers trying to align. Buyers are trying to align their orders into bullish, and they are really trying their way into looking for a bullish wave. Even the last candle supports buyers. So the next one, we'll check at the institutional order block, moving average, buyers on the monthly time frame. On the weekly time frame, you are able to see the support becoming exactly what we had anticipated. So the weekly price action pushed below and pushed up. So this push up can allow buyers to go into the next support, the resistance at 99.822, bro. Yeah, so stay focused, because this reaction shows that there was a support that's pushing price higher. So we're anticipating price to go into the next moving average at 99.839. That's the weekly time frame. On the daily time frame, you're able to see the same 99.89. There is a support there, which is our currently resistance, but we are anticipating a push into that level. So on Tuesday, the sellers were able to be stopped by the support, and this is the institutional order block. They were stopped, pushed price up, tried to come down, they were pushed up again. Yeah, on the 4-hour time frame, no clear direction, but buyers are trying to switch their sentiments into bullish. That's it for today. We hope the last one is the simple moving average, which has a very maybe clearer sentiment. On the monthly, nothing. Weekly, buyers are pushing higher. On the daily we are able to see that price reacted on the support and on the resistance. On the support, and the resistance. So it's giving us a clear perspective of where the price is supposed to react. So if it comes back, we expect 98.096 to push price into 98.95. That's it for the week. We hope we assisted you in making a better analysis, and just comment anything you have as questions to, and we'll be glad to serve you. So till next time, next week, let's see whether the price will respect this analysis, and we'll be glad again to share week 31 analysis. Stay focused and manage your risk. This sentiment will be useful to your portfolio if you are a bad manager. Manage your risk well, and we look forward to continue up to week 52 of the year making profits. Stay blessed. Cheers.